General Abizaid, Ambassador Tueller, thank you both for your past service, and thank you for both signing up to serve in two complex countries with which the United States has critical security partnerships. Mr. Chairman, I think it sends an important signal that these are our first two nominees before the committee in this Congress, especially since we have not had a nominee for Saudi Arabia in 2 years. And while we have had two closed-door briefings ostensibly touching on Saudi Arabia this Congress, they were wholly unsatisfactory in providing this committee with information. The administration's attempt to explain its failure to provide a legally mandated determination about the murder of American resident Jamal Khashoggi was insulting. I urge the committee to hold open hearings with the administration to understand our actions and our objectives. And specifically, Mr. Chairman, I ask you to work with me and the other bipartisan co-sponsors on this committee on the Saudi Arabia and Yemen Accountability Act. If the President fails to act, I believe Congress must. Now to our nominees. You will both face challenging environments. General Abizaid, as we discussed, Saudi Arabia has taken a number of actions that have seriously strained the U.S.-Saudi relationship over the past few years, actions that belie the ambitious reforms many had hoped for. Under new management, the Crown Prince has launched Saudi Arabia into a devastating war in Yemen, isolated Qatar, threatening Gulf cooperation and coordination against threats from Iran and regional terrorist groups, detained and tortured members of his own family, effectively hoodwinked and intimidated the Lebanese Prime Minister, and just this week, we publicly learned about the detention and potential torture of a United States citizen. And I'd like to acknowledge that a member of Dr. Fatahi's family and his advocates are here today. Amidst all of this, we continue to cooperate in confronting real and strategic threats to the United States and Saudi interests. The kingdom does continue to face legitimate threats, including from Houthis, often with Iranian backing. No country should be expected to live with the threat of missiles being launched into civilian centers across its border. But as the conflict drags on, violent Houthi factions only become more empowered. We cannot let these interests blind us to the values or to our long-term interests in stability. I have been disappointed with the administration's public posture towards Saudi Arabia. Our leaders cannot credibly call on the world stage and demand accountability for human rights abuses while giving a wink and a nod to the Crown Prince. General Abizaid, while I'm wary of the militarization of the State Department, I believe you have the right experience for the kind of leadership we need at this embassy. As we discuss, you'll face not only the challenge of engaging directly with the Saudis and managing a large mission in Riyadh, you'll have to contend with a White House that at times seems to be running its own bilateral show. Ambassador Tueller, given your current service to Yemen, stationed, however, in Riyadh, as is the ousted Hadi government, I'd also posit some of these challenges to you. As our ambassador to Yemen, you have been responsible for securing U.S. interests there, for supporting an internationally led effort to promote a political solution that offers legitimate security interests for Saudis and Yemenis, while also ensuring that all Yemeni people have a political process to express their interests, one that equitably and adequately addresses all equities and promotes our interests. You'll face somewhat similar challenges in Iraq. Unfortunately, the President's lack of a coherent strategy for U.S. policy in Iraq has only increased some of the challenges we face. As we discussed yesterday, there's a growing movement within some political corners to oust American troops from the country. I believe we have invested too many American lives in national treasure, seen too many Iraqis perish under the brutality of terrorism, and risk critical alliances that we have built to do that precipitously. We must work with the Iraqi people to continue to support building institutions, to promote an inclusive political process, and continue training Iraqi security forces so that the Iraqis themselves can ultimately defend their country. We must support efforts to confront those seeking to continue destabilizing Iraq, from a resurgent ISIS to Iranian political ambitions. And I'm particularly concerned about the proposal to permanently close the consulate in Basra. Your job will be to keep an open mind about the political process, finding a way to include Shia, Sunni, and Kurdish populations, with whom all of which the United States has important relationships. And in that context, I look forward to hearing from both of you as to your testimony.